Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I have a share for you. This is a swap that I am doing with Priscilla, who is Release the Craftin on YouTube and Instagram. She is an amazing artist and I'm horribly nervous because she is amazing. We decided to do a swap a while ago, and when we were kind of talking about it, and we both found out that we're huge nerds, which is awesome, and we both like a lot of the same things. One of the things that we do like that's similar is the movie Labyrinth. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's a mixture of ridiculousness, campiness, weirdness, glamour, and about 10 other things, all rolled into one. And it was in the 80s. David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly are in it. And it's kind of got like a little cult following now, but I always thought it was awesome. And there's a couple of songs in there that I used to sing with my kids when they got a little bit older too. So this is not the journal, obviously, but this is like a little companion piece. And what this is music from the movie. Although, Priscilla, if you don't know the words by now, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And I started out, you'll see the journal in a minute, and it got so huge that I had to change things up a bit. So without going into too much detail, because Priscilla and other fans of the movie will know a lot of these things, this represents the plastic bracelet, and there's the owl. I don't know, where am I? There we are. And again, if you've seen it, you'll know what that is. And so this is really just, it's like chipboard, and I covered it with antiquing medium and paper, and I'll set this down, and I just printed out the words to the songs. There's Hoggle, and yeah, that's just all this is just kind of a little fun little thing. This is the part where it's like the dream sequence, which is one of my favorites. And I just, you know, I made it kind of grungy and weird. And then on the back it's plain so that she can, you know, write or whatever she'd like to do on that. So that's just the companion piece. And luckily, maybe not, for her, I got a whole bunch of new inks. I've been watching some classes online about how to use inks, and I got some new embossing stuff. So, like this frame here, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's embossed, and I've got some, like I say, some new inks and stuff going on in here, and you'll see that mostly in the big journal, which I'll show you in just one second. This is mostly just scraps and pieces. Pretty much is what this is. So, oh, the number 13, again, if you've seen the movie, you know what that means. And I hope she likes this. And this is one part of the journal, and I will open this bad boy up, and then we'll come back and we will look inside. I wanted to make two different covers, and I like the I like the juxtaposition of the grungy and the pretty. And this is, again, the ballroom scene in that movie is what this kind of represents. Her hair was decorated with silver leaves and flowers, and there were chandeliers everywhere, and it was really just a pretty visually a pretty scene. So that's what this is. This is, again, because I wanted to make 2 covers, this is one of my wraps that I do. And so here's the juxtaposition part. There's some more of the prettiness. But then this is the actual book. Ta-da! And, oop, can you see that? I embossed it again, because, you know, that's what I do. So, let me pause this, because I don't want too much going on in this video. I'm afraid it'll cut off on me. So, I'll be right back, and we'll open this bad boy up. Alright, so this is layers and layers of cardboard, scrap cardboard, and I got this velvety material at the thrift store. It was a scarf, and I cut that up, and it was pretty sheer, and you probably can't see, but underneath is some Tim Holtz material that looks kind of snakeskin-ish, because a lot of David Bowie's costumes in the movie are in here, and one of his costumes involves like pants with like snakeskin looking stuff on them. So because the outer cover was so elaborate, I kept this one fairly simple. I don't know if she likes all the frou-frou lace stuff, so if she doesn't want to use that one, that is fine with me. And I hope there's not too much noise going on in my house. I'm getting ready for a new kitchen, and I've got my dishwasher running, and my washer running, and my dryer running, and the heater's running, so. It like got really big, and so I had to stop adding things to it. As you can see, it's humongous. Look at that. Because there were so many other things that I wanted to put in here, and I ran out of room. You know, this thing barely closes. So we'll just go through it really quickly, and this kind of is the beginning of the movie with Sarah. This is a Tim Holtz movie ticket, and June 26th, 1987 is stamped up here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's when the movie first came out. And this is a pocket, and I'm going to try to keep this bad boy in frame here. The music, of course, is wonderful in it. This is some great sari silk that I got from April at Pink Odd Bird, and I did a lot of playing around, collaging and stuff with this. When Sarah first calls the Goblin King in, this is how I imagine it in junk journal form. So that's what that is. And there's just a little tip out here. This paper was awesome for this. Here, this is a tag that I had made a long time ago. It's one of my trashy tags, but on the back I found this little saying, learn something from everyone you meet. And I thought that that was appropriate for this because Sarah does learn quite a bit when she's in the Labyrinth. So that's what that's for. And here is a miniature of the movie poster. I printed out a whole lot of images, but I didn't end up using them all because I didn't want to give her the same images that she was giving me. You know what I'm saying? And then Sarah says, oh, please don't take my baby brother. And Jareth says, hey, what's said is said. So, bleh. In the movie, as she's going through the labyrinth, she starts to mark her way so that she doesn't lose where she's at. And what you don't see off, it's, you know, behind her is these little things come out and move the stones around. So that's kind of what this is. That's one of my favorite things that he says, forget about the baby. And if you move the stone around, that's another thing that he says, turn back Sarah. So that's what that is. This, we found this, G and I, when we were shopping. It's a little, oh, what do you call those things? An hourglass, and it really works. So you are getting that, Miss Priscilla. This is another trashy tag that I had made a long time ago, and I just kind of put it in here. I just thought it fit. It's really pretty. I like it. One thing that you learn in the Labyrinth is that nothing is as it seems, and that's what this page is, because it's actually 2 little pages. And one of the first guys that she meets is a little labyrinth worm who says, "Hello." Time is a really big factor in this movie, so you will see a lot of clocks and a lot of time. And I put some hands on this, and the middle is a P for Priscilla. And everything in here is distressed in some way and spritzed with glitter spray because, oh my gosh, I can't imagine the amount of glitter they used in this movie. It's ridiculous. Hoggle is somebody else that she meets, and he says if that is the way it is done, that is the way you must do it. And he is going around with a little spray can killing fairies. Don't ask me why. That's one of the weird things. And so there's a little fairy there. And this paper is from a Die Cuts with a View paperback, and it's called Once Upon a Time. So I used quite a bit of that in here as well. And I was so excited. Oh, and this is a flip up with some more of that scarf paper. I was so excited. I got a huge Happy Mail package from Sarah at Anywho Crafts with the best scrapbook paper ever inside, and I have already used so much of it, Sarah, you would not believe it. A lot of that is in here too. There's another little tip out there. There's some more cards, and one of the things that she sent me was this, it's like a wedding kit, and it's like, how would you incorporate that into anything but a wedding? Easy. You just grunge it up and turn it into whatever you want. I loved it. I've used so much of that in here. There's another little trashy tag. See, and I was playing with my embossing stuff. And here, this is a bag from Sarah. And it's really hard to find a good image of a 13-hour clock, but that's the best that I could come up with right off the top of my head. And again, you'll know what that is if you watch the movie. And here is another one of those stones that the little trolls underneath, I don't know if you can see this very well. We have no light because it's storming outside, but that moves. And she also, one of the things that Sarah does is talk to a couple of door knockers. So these are the door knockers. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And I've also been playing with a lot of fibers. Love it. There is the labyrinth that she has to go through, and Jareth's castle is way up here. That's where her baby brother is. And here's some more of those cool little wedding things. And, you know, I just use scrap fabric for some of the tags in here. You can use anything. And that may not show up too well because it's very light, but it's paper that I printed off of something else. I scanned and copied it. Kind of looks labyrinthy in there. And after she talks to the door knockers, our friend Sarah says, "Gee, I'm so smart," and she walks through the door and she falls through the hole. And she falls into an oubliette, which is a pit where you put people to forget about them. That's what oubliette means. So this is my interpretation of the cover of the oubliette that she falls through. However, she doesn't fall straight down. The helping hands help her. So there's the helping hands. And Greg goes to this junk shop that sells huge bags of costume jewelry for just a little bit of nothing, and he buys them because it's chain. He uses a lot of chain in his work. And there was a Mickey Mouse necklace in that, and I tore it apart. These are Mickey Mouse hands, but I goobered them all up to make helping hands out of them. So that's what that is. And that was one of my little sneak peeks that I showed on Instagram because, you know, again, I'm playing with ink and stuff in here. This page looks rather plain, but I thought that it was neat because it just, you know, looks labyrinthy. So there's Jareth. Yes, I framed him. I can't help it. Stenciling. There's another door knocker. And when she tries to get out of the oubliette, Mr. Hoggle helps her, and he pulls a door from the ground. I know, it sounds like this is like some weird thing, but it's true. He pulls a door up from the ground, hooks it into the wall, and opens it. But, oh, it's a broom closet. And he says, oh my goodness. So he closes it and says, you know, I'll try again. And then he opens it this way, and that's the way out. And I would be remiss here if I didn't say, if you are a fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation, the gal that played Dr. Crusher, Gates McFadden, she was one of the people, before she was an actress, that worked on Hoggle. She was one of the choreographers that helped Hoggle. And I thought that was pretty cool. Then she meets Ludo, who is a rock collar kind of troll dude. He's humongous, but he's got a big heart. And she also runs into these little dudes, the Fire Gang, and they are weird. I think somebody had like some good drugs or something when they when they made these guys. They're Muppets, of course. I don't know if I said this is a Jim Henson movie that was written by one of the guys from Monty Python, so you can just imagine how weird it is. But so this is the Fire Gang, and one of the things that they really don't want to do is end up in the Bog of Eternal Stench, but they do, which is basically one big toot joke. Yeah, and if you get any of the bog on you, you will smell bad for the rest of your life. So they don't want to end up there, and of course they do. This is another trashy tag that I had made a long time ago, but I thought it was pretty cool here. And as Sarah gets farther, Jareth gets more nervous and more nervous. But one of the cool things is, I've seen it twice. The rocks have his face, and then there's a part of the green in the labyrinth that has his face as well. He shows up to talk to Hoggle. He always says his name wrong too, which is a hoot. And says, you know, she cannot get to the castle. I don't want her to have this baby. So he gives her a magic peach. So yes, there is a lot of fairy tale element in here. If you watch it, you'll see why. If I ever had to write another research paper, I would definitely do it on this movie because there's a lot of stuff happening here. And I made a lot of what I call costume tags because I love the costumes in this movie. So that's what these little funky things are. Just a regular tag here. And going back to the wrap, the dream ballroom sequence, that's a picture from that. There's Sarah and Jareth. And the first time you see it, you think, oh, that's cute. And then the more you watch it, you go, wow, that's really weird. But in any case, And I wanted to do a whole thing about Didymus, and I just did not have room, so, but there he is. You get him. He's in here. And the clocks again. And so in the dream ballroom scene, they're both dressed very beautifully, and he has a beautiful jacket on, and I kind of studied that, and this is my interpretation of the jacket. And he's even got the blue in his hair, which is pretty awesome sauce. And to attach this to the page, I used, there's some more of that silver stuff. I used a paper clip with a bulb pin from Sarah. And this was another piece that was in the junk stuff that Greg gets. So there's a little bit of Greggy in here. There's another flip up here. I made this at like 11 o'clock last night because I wanted a piece of Sarah right here. And this is some more paper that Tracy, or excuse me, not Tracy, Sarah gave me from Anywho Crafts. Oh, I am so glad she gave me this. All of this is from her. I have been having so much fun with this paper. Sarah, thank you. This is actually from a Witch Hazel Book of Shadows collection, but I thought it looked pretty good here. And there they are dancing. Hello. And then she realizes, you know, uh-oh, time's up. 13 hours is almost up. So she makes her way to the city. They get to the city gates, and it looks like this huge steampunk gate thing, and it's actually a creature called Humongous. So there he is. I highlighted him with some metallic paint there. So there's the gate. And then they fight the trolls, and they go into a house to get away from the trolls. And remember, Ludo is really big, and they say, oh my gosh, how is Ludo going to get in here? And Ludo's like, forget this noise. He just takes the whole front of the house off so that he can get in. And see, I've been playing with my inks. I love it. And also when we were out shopping, Beware of Trolls, Greg said you had to have that. So there you go, Priscilla. That's from Greg. Again, there's some more of that wedding stuff. There's, these are all around. Those are his little, the crystal balls that he has. And this was one of the first images that I printed out, and I glossy accented, everything I've done for you. I moved the stars for no one. That's one of the famous lines in the movie. And I made a little envelope here in the middle, and of course I had to emboss. And there's just some little scraps here. This is that Tim Holtz material that's on the front. Another costume tag. And this is where I will put a note for her. There's some more of my fun costumey, fibery tag things and some embossing. And when she finally gets there and tries to get the baby back, these are some of the things that Jareth says, and they just crack me up. I ask for so little. Just let me rule you. I tried that with Greg. Doesn't work. So, these are some pieces from that wedding set that Sarah sent. So, you know, even if you get something and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I ever going to do with that? Just alter it. It works, man. Some more fibers that I was playing with. And just some scraps there. There's some scrap material. Some more of the sari from April. There's a cool little applique that I got from somewhere. And I think it was April sent me this material a long time ago, and I just thought, oh my gosh, it is so cool. It works perfectly in here, I think. And I had already grungied up my little tags. And I thought, that's okay, I'll cover it. But the back of this material also is awesome sauce. So I made the tag into a flip. So I was super happy that I got to use this. It's like a velvet, but it's like embossed. I'm so happy. And this is where I realized I had gone too far with all of this stuff. Because it was so big I couldn't shut it anymore. So I just had to throw in some little taggies here and there. This, I got this at our local thrift store. It's like a cuff bracelet, and I cut it in half. And it's really heavy. Really heavy. But that paper, I think this was Kaiser Craft paper. I think. It's awesome though. And these fibers I got, I'm going to be doing a video on them because I got some great stuff from some Etsy sellers. So I will definitely be doing that because those fibers make me super, super happy. There's an old bag. I cut the gusset out of an old bag to make this pocket page here. The feather, again, with the owl. And the way that Sarah finally gets her brother back, it harkens back to the beginning of the movie, and that's what this is. You have no power over me. And then she ends up kind of back in her room, and there's a her Melinda tag here. And then at the end, again, that die cuts with the view paper, I think it was called Happily Ever After. It might have been called Fairy Tale. But that's what I put in here, and there's some writing paper here, and I used the rest of my scraps to make a little bookmark there with the owl feathers. So many things I didn't get to add in here. The collector lady, the junk lady, some more about Didymus and her dog, and just so many things. But it doesn't even want to stay shut now as it is. So, who knows? Maybe I'll do a volume 2 one of these days. Like I said, I did print out a bunch of stuff that I did not end up using. Some of it I'm going to use for something else. And I'll send her a few things too. Oh, another thing I wanted to put in here was in the castle, the stairway, that it's an impossible stairway, and they're called Escher stairs because do they go up or down? It depends on how you look at them. Also called Penrose stairs. The movie Inception has some of that stuff in there. So this is like a super long video, but look at all these notes that I had too for stuff that didn't get put in here. Oh, anyway, Priscilla, I had so much fun with this, and I'm so glad that you are a fellow weird movie nerd like I am. So I hope you enjoy this. I love it so much. I was telling her last night, I texted her and I said, it's a good thing it's going to you, because otherwise it would be staying right here in my hands. I love it so, 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 so much. So, and I hope she does too. So everybody else, ooh, this is going to be a long puppy. So thanks for hanging out, and everybody have a great week. And I will link some shops down below, Sarah from Anywho Crafts and Priscilla's channel as well. And yeah, thanks so much for being here. Have a great week. Bye.